Okay, today we are going to talk about PMs, especially about greasing. So here again, we are working on a unit that has been locked out, tagged out already, and we are going to show you how to properly grease a bearing. And in order to do that, we look at a bearing like this. This is called a pillow block bearing. And when this is on the unit, our shaft is coming through the hole and it's tightened down with these two set screws. We have to make sure that they are absolutely tight because this is what rolls the shaft and turns the shaft. If these are loose and one of them is still driving, we could groove out our shaft. Also, when we grease, we want to make sure that we take our grease gun and we pump grease into this. We don't need a lot, but you want to see a little bit come out on the ends. And once we get grease coming out the ends, then we want to make sure that we wipe it off. Otherwise, all the dirt and everything will stick to the grease that's on here, and it'll cause our bearings to fail sooner also. So this again is called a pillow block bearing. On a unit, sometimes they put hoses on a bearing and then it leads over to a different grease fitting. And I'm going to give this grease gun over, and you can see that we can grease up a bearing this way also. So either we grease directly on the bearing or they'll have hoses in a spot to grease it. We especially put these on because the back bearing's hard to get to. So we have a fitting that's on this side with a hose going to the bearing on the other side. It makes it easier to grease. We also need to grease the motor. The motor has grease fittings in its end valves over here. And here again, you do not want to put in a lot of grease, but you put in a little bit of grease, couple pumps. There is also a set screw on the bottom of some of these where an Allen screw goes in. You can pull those out and you can actually push the grease through. But all motors don't have that. So you don't want to just keep putting too much grease in. Couple pumps and that's fine. Two pumps is usually fine. And you want to make sure that you do keep everything greased on your unit. Okay, so if we do not grease our bearings, you can see what happens to the shaft right here. There's a lot of play in there. It's half eaten through. It should be tight all the way through that bearing, and we are not. You can see it ate through the bearing, ate through the shaft halfway. So we had to purchase a new shaft, which I have right here. This is what a new one looks like. You can see that it's solid all the way through and doesn't have a groove cut into it. So we will be putting this in.